Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. Apologies for not being able to hear me. I'd forgotten to push a button. Automation for the win. Apologies for not being here last week, but I had a prior engagement, so back tonight. So tonight, a little bit of a change of pace. The last few streams, we've been working on some chocolatey related stuff. So for one reason or another, I'm going back to look at some cake stuff. So basically, there's been some items that have come onto my to-do list for cake, and I want to spend a little bit of time looking at those. So where we want to start is there's been a couple of PRs into some Cake-Contrib repositories, specifically to enable SourceLink of Addins. Now, my understanding of what SourceLink is it basically rewrites the PDB files that are generated as part of the build of a project. And by rewriting that PDB files to link to the original source control repository for the source files, it makes the linking of the source files to where it's being executed possible. So what that means is, in this example, I've got this convoluted example I've got here. I've got a build.cake file that happens to reference the Cake.FileHelpers add-in. Now, when I debug this in Visual Studio Code rather, I'm going to hit F5 here. I'm going to debug this cake script. When I hit the breakpoint down here, what I would like to be able to do, or what the whole point in SourceLink is, I would want to be able to step into this method here. So this method is one that is provided by the Cake.FileHelpers add-in. So if I try and press F11 just now, step into this, I get a completely wrong button. If I step into it with the button rather than F11, F11 did something weird on my machine. I'm not entirely sure what it did there. Thanks for noticing that, Maurice. I don't know if I can change that while I'm streaming. I forgot to add that, or I forgot to update that in my automation script. I should have remembered that. I will change that once the video is saved on Twitch, because yeah, that's wrong. So ideally, what I would want to do is I would want to be able to step into this code to then step through the method to, so if something's going wrong in an add-in or it's not quite working the way I wanted it to, ideally I would want to step into it. So when I tried that, I got an error message. Now, my understanding is that once we enable SourceLink, we push that to NuGet.org. Once we reference that new version, then we should, so I'll have to change the version here and pull down the new version. I think we should be able to step into this file read lines method when I'm debugging my cake script. So if we look at where we are, someone on the internet, and this is quite amazing actually what he's done. But if I look at Cake-Contrib and I look at the repositories for cake. So the convoluted example that I was giving is because one of the PRs goes into Cake.FileHelpers. So in theory, if I can get it to work, then we should be able to take that convoluted example and step into that code. So this guy here, JT123, on one day, he opened, let me find it, he opened 1,060 pull requests. So effectively what he's done is he's added some automation around creating this PR. So he's, whatever functionalities or whatever he's looking at, he has sent that to work on at least 1,600 repositories, 2 of which were in Cake-Contrib. So what he's saying here is, I noticed that your repository and NuGet packages are important for our .NET community, but you still haven't enabled SourceLink. So it's basically a prod to make that change. And the code behind it is this GitHub mass updater. And actually, while I think about that, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put it into a Cake channel that I was just on. Let me just a quick message here to Jericho. Just talking about this on the stream, but the PR I am a way to pull in was generated from this tool. Might be interesting to see how they are doing it. And I'm going to take a link to the PR in question. So PR in question is here. Okay, so I just want to get that out of the way while I remembered. So the idea is if I merge this PR, so this PR, it hasn't made that much changes. Literally all it's done is it has brought in a NuGet package via this package reference, and that package reference is to the SourceLink GitHub package. So what it will do is it will marry up the generated PDB to the source files that live on GitHub, and it will rewrite the PDB with those locations. And what it then does is it will add some additional properties for the build so that it will generate the snupkeg, as it's called, or the symbols package. So right now, if we go down to here and we cd into where I've got that already checked out, if we look at Cake.FileHelpers and we run this build. So right now, the only artifacts that are created are the nupkeg that is pushed for Cake.FileHelpers. Now, once we activate this change, we should then get a snupkeg file. So it's just got the S on the front of it. So I'm going to let that build run to see if we can see that. And then I want to see it making the snupkeg. And the other thing I want to test, there's a theory out there that says I shouldn't need to explicitly push the snupkeg. By pushing the snupkeg that's sitting beside it should also be pushed in NuGet without having to do any additional work. I can imagine GitHub did not like that. Well, I don't know actually. I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? 1,600 at once seems excessive. Can you imagine the amount of potential GitHub Actions builds, the CI builds that will have been kicking in from that many PRs being created? It's quite impressive, to be fair. I'm just seeing something that's sitting. What is sticking out there? Oh, is it this? There we go. There was something black in my background, but I've fixed it. So I'm going to let this build finish, and then if we look at what's being generated for us, so in GitHub, in organizations, in Cake-Contrib, and in FileHelpers, within build artifacts, we should get some packages soon, and that packages will be the nupkegs that would ultimately get pushed to NuGet.org. Still something bloody. So it's not. So you're talking about this bit here while we're waiting on that build. This is my desk. Now, in previous streams, you would have seen like a oak colored desk. So I've actually bought a new bit of green screen that's covering it up. So it's blurry because it's going at a different angle to my main green screen, but it's better than it was before. So, oh, Matthias is just Matthias resubscribe a tier 1 sub. Thank you very much. I was just saying, Matthias, that I'm trying to, or I'm going to pull in the PR to Cake.FileHelpers, and I'm going to see whether the snupkeg gets pushed at the same time as the nupkeg. So if we do git fetch upstream pull, what's the pull request number? The pull request number is 31. So if we pull in 31 and the head of that branch and PR31. And if we check out that, check out PR31, and we run the build again, this time around, we should get both a snup keg and a nut keg. Don't know who came up with it being called snup keg, but it does kind of roll off the tongue a little bit, rather than symbols.nupkeg as it used to be called before. So let's see what this does. And then I think I'm going to YOLO it. Ah, Kim's here as well. Hello, Kim. What we're talking about, Kim, and this is something I think you've played with or dabbled with in the past, and that's kind of why I messaged you about it earlier, is SourceLink, and enabling SourceLink specifically on Cake Addins, and also the publishing of said snupkeg to NuGet, and whether you have to implicitly push it or whether you can just push the nupkeg and the snupkeg goes along with it. Oh, Martin's in the chat room as well. Hello, everyone. So if we go back over here and we look at the build artifacts folder now, in addition to our nupkeg, right, we've now got a snupkeg. So that snupkeg contains the, well, let's just have a look actually. Let's see what it is. Let's see what's in there. So if we copy that and we rename that to .zip and we extract that, let's have a look and see what's in it. So extract that, and what we've got in here is a lib folder, one for, so Cake.FileHelpers compiles for both Net46 and for NetStandard 2.0, and in here we'll have a PDB file for each of those. But the interesting thing is that this PDB file will have been rewritten to have the location of its source files pointing at GitHub. So in theory, in any editor IDE that supports symbol browsing, when you step into the code, it should be able to fetch it from GitHub, download it, and then allow you to step through it in your editor of choice. So what I want to try next is I want to merge the PR that went into the Cake.FileHelpers repository. I want to let NuGet do its thing and push a new version out, and then I want to come back to Visual Studio Code here, where I've got an add-in, or I've got that Cake.FileHelpers add-in already there, and I want to see if I can then step into the file read lines method and see how that works. And Kim's saying there, if you use the v2 nuget.org URL or non-nuget.org URL, then yes, you need to explicitly push it yourself. Okay, so let's have a wee look. I'm going to go off screen a little bit. I'm opening up AppVeyor in my browser that's off screen, and I'm going to look at Cake.FileHelpers. Cake.FileHelpers, and we'll see what's currently set up. But then that probably won't have that information anymore. I now need to go to the global YAML file I created. So in there, oh, so currently I have the NuGet source set as, I'm just going to paste this into here. So I've currently got the NuGet source that we're pushing to be that. So based on what you said, Kim, if you use the v2 nuget.org URL, which is what that is, then you have to explicitly push it yourself. So if I were to use the v3 push URL, it would work. The only way to automatically push snupkeg files together with nupkeg files is to use, well, let's just go, is there, before I do that change, is there any reason that I can't do that? Do I need, if I were to change the NuGet source URL that's currently being used in the global YAML file of AppVeyor for Cake-Contrib, which currently has something like 130 different projects in it, am I going to break anything by changing to use, let me just copy this, am I going to break anything by changing to that URL compared to the v2 one? Answers on a postcard. Oh, what happened? What did I miss? Hello, Raiders from Freestyle Coder. Oh, I didn't. Hello, Raiders from Freestyle Coder. I didn't get a notification of that, or did I? Hello, Freestyle Coder. Welcome along to the stream. And Kim's saying, not as far as I know, but I'm not an authority on these. Okay, so let's YOLO it. So we're going to take this URL and we're going to put it into the global YAML file of AppBear. Oh, that didn't work. I'm going to put that into here, and I'm going to hit save and just go back. So thank you very much, Freestyle Coder, for the what we're working for the raid. What we're working on tonight is we are enabling SourceLink on a couple of Cake Addins with the intention to be able to step into some code that we're debugging within Visual Studio Code once SourceLink is enabled. So the PR in question to do that, it's a really simple PR that's come in. We added 3 lines to the CS proj file for setting those things up, and then the item group was added here to include the SourceLink GitHub package reference. So I'm going to say that this looks good. So where's my button that says, oh, I'm not signed in, that's why. Am I going to need to be signed in? No, let's just do it on my other machine. Let's just do it over here, github.com/cake-contrib/cake.filehelpers. Maybe warn people on, maybe Zai. I might just do that. I probably should do that. That's a good point. Since not everyone is in here. No, you're right. You're right. But if it needs to be, we can always put it back as well. That's the other thing. So I'm going to click on this review, and I'm going to say, I don't know if you heard, Kim, but the person who put this JT1123, the person who put in this PR used some sort of automated process to do the work, and he actually created 1,060 PRs in the same day, adding SourceLink to a bunch of repositories across GitHub. Kind of impressive. I'm going to hit merge, and I'll need to tag things. So maybe I do want to be signed in. So maybe I'll do that. I'm just going to go onto my Be Right Back screen, and I'm going to sign in GitHub, and I'll come back in just a second. You can? Oh, better not say anything rude about people. I thought it was muted when I was in this one. So let me come back then. Hold on, let me come back so it's just me. There we go. I was convinced that when I switched to that scene, it muted my microphone, but obviously not. So yeah, that's an interesting one. You would have, unless he's staged them so that, I know that Jericho on the Cake team has run into some issues with the Addin Discoverer when he's using that for reviewing all the Cake Addins that are in NuGet. He's hit rate limits trying to keep that Excel spreadsheet up to date. Interesting. Okay, so that's merged. So what I was going to do was I was going to assign this an improvement label, and I'm going to create a milestone, which is going to be, I'm going to make this 3.3.0. And the chocolatey verifier, and at least, so that's a different issue. But yes, well, package validator. You must have seen the issue that I was chatting on this afternoon. So basically, one of the packages on chocolatey has the release notes are completely filled in with links out to different PRs. So as the package validator is going through and validating all of those URLs, we then trigger a 429 response from GitHub because there's too many requests going out at once. So my workaround is to put in a thread.sleep into the URL validation logic to make it wait a little bit when it's doing a bunch of URLs at the same time. Carl for Twitch, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. And thank you for keeping an eye on that, Maurice. I do appreciate it. Right. So, having done that change, so our CI build should be running. So if we go over to our appver build, we'll see what's happening. Let's log in with GitHub, because I'm genuinely curious if this is all going to work. So if we go up to the Cake-Contrib project on appver, we should see Cake.FileHelpers, and it's succeeded in the build, so that's good. So we haven't broken anything there. Now, what I want to do is I want to create a release, because having just done what Kim suggested, which was to use the v3 NuGet feed rather than the v2 one, I want to ship this. So how are we going to do this? Because I know how I'm going to do it. So if we do git checkout the master branch again, and we do git fetch from the upstream that I have configured, that'll pull down the change, and then let's rebase the upstream master branch onto my one, and then we'll just push that to my origin. Double check the cake recipe files first. What are you concerned about it not doing, Kim? So what Kim's referring to is cake.recipe. Cake.recipe is what's used to do this build process, and one of the things that it does will be to push the package. So it creates NuGet packages, and then in here somewhere there will be a push, publish myget, and then publish NuGet packages. So for each NuGet package that it finds in that folder, so if we go back to the folder that we had, it will have it'll find the nutkeg file, and then it will attempt to push that. And what should happen, based on what we've described, is it should also take the snupkeg and, oh, hold on. If I remember correctly, the symbol packaging is disabled by default. Oh, okay. So, oh, but we're not using it's using .NET Core Pack here, not NuGet Pack, or is that a distinction without a difference? So on the create NuGet package, symbols is indeed false there for NuGet, but it will be the .NET Core Pack, which is here, which has include source on. So I think we're okay, right? Because this project doesn't have a new spec file. Yeah, so it's been generated from the csproj file in the project, and then we can confirm that in recipe.cake as well, because it will be running .NET Core rather than the other one. Yes, and it will be should run .NET Core Pack is true. But what you're saying is that in order for this to work, if we were using NuGet, see, I'm confused now. So you're saying if we were using NuGet Pack, this should be true, but if that were false, are you saying the snupkeg wouldn't be created even though we had added in the SourceLink package. Is that what we're saying? I just want to clarify that that's, because that sounds like something we should change then for the NuGet side of things. I do want to move on, but I just want to clarify that point as well, because that sounds like something we should fix. Okay, so that's, I might have to go and create an issue for that then, but I also want to get this finished. So now that we've got that done, I am going to cheat a little bit, and I am going to create a tag locally, which is tagged at 320. Is that what I said it was going to be? So it was milestone 330. I'm going to create a tag here, and then I'm going to run the release notes target to generate a set of release notes that I can't type. So I'm going to run the release notes for 330, which will generate a draft release on GitHub. And with that done, I can publish the release, and it will trigger another build on AppVeyor, which will then do the publishing to NuGet. And there's a message from Kim that I need to go back and read. There we go. Unable to use Git Release Manager as necessary credentials are not available. That can only mean that I don't have that set up on this machine, but I thought I did. So let's go and check that. So Git Release Manager is using, can use that. So parameters is here. And we're going to say can use Git Release Manager. And it wants a GitHub username and password. Oh, that's why, I bet. So if we go into build parameters, GitHub, that'll be a credential, which is going to be here. And we search here for GitHub credentials. Then the credentials are, where are they? When we instantiate them, we are using the GitHub user and environment name, which is going to be over here. And by default, that is GitHub username and GitHub password. Okay, so I'm going to go into Be Right Back again, and this time I might mute my microphone in case I do slip something up. So I'll be right back in a second. See, that's the problem, right? Thank you for that, Maurice. Appreciate it. I muted it and then I forget to unmute it. I should be able to, I think I should be able to, when I do a scene switch, I should be able to unmute the mic. It is quiet before the storm, indeed. Okay, so I've added in those environment variables, which means now that over on the Cake.FileHelpers repository on GitHub, we should now have a new draft release, which is 3.30, and that includes the improvement, which is to have enabled SourceLink. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that tag. I can't remember how to do that. Git tag -d -d330. Beautiful. Okay. So now if I go into here and I edit it, then I should be able to publish it. So that publish will kick off another build over here, but this time it will be tagged. That tag will then attempt to publish to NuGet.org for the Cake.FileHelpers nupkeg, and in theory, it should also publish the snupkeg. I see you're testing. No, that's been released now. It's gone. I don't think I'm. Oh, I shouldn't be giving something away, should I? Those features are no longer. Yeah, they've been shipped. So I'm not showing anything that you shouldn't also have. I don't think. I don't think so. They've shipped. Good. Okay. I thought I was giving the game away there a little bit, but glad to hear that I'm not. Okay, I specifically turned them off for the last stream because I had them running on the last stream, and I had turned them off because they prefer that you don't show things on stream that isn't public. But for those of you that are not clear on what we're referring to there, is that GitHub has released a new layout for the repositories. So releases is now down here where it used to be along the top. And interesting thing to note, there's a little bit of a bug. If you don't have any, if you only have pre-release releases, then this is empty by default. It's not until you enable or make one of them non-pre-release that it appears in here. So let's wait for this build. Now, is there a way, Kim, if you know, is there a way to know on NuGet whether a particular package has symbols associated with it? Is there anything in the UI that floats up to say that it includes those things? Oh, I'd never got a notification on my RSS feed that it got published. Last thing it got there was it moved. Oh, interesting. Maybe they forgot. Don't know. Oh, there is a way. Oh, interesting. So what am I looking for? So when I get over here, what? Oh, check the Cake-Contrib tool. Let's have a look at that. Oh, that was a. It's come up as a URL, but I don't think you meant it as a URL. Cake-Contrib.tool. This one. Download symbols. I see that. Okay, cool. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to take a screenshot. I'm going to send that to Jericho. Thank you for that piece of information. So I'm going to send a message here as well. Jericho, when a symbols package is included, you will see it on the package page. I'm going to send that. Thank you for that. Okay, so that's happened. So if we look at the publishing, publish GitHub release, this is the part that I was interested in. So we're putting the, oh, look at that. It does tell me. Okay, so it pushed the nupkeg, pushing the nupkeg, and it's pushing the symbol. So I can see in the output that it's actually sent it, so that's good. Maurice, is he, she, them going to add that? So that's what we were discussing. Yes, so he, Jericho, he is the owner of the Cake-Contrib Addin Discoverer. So the Cake Addin Discoverer is a utility tool that goes through all of the packages on NuGet that start with the cake.star convention, and it generates an audit report of what target frameworks they're using, what version of Cake they're compiled against, yada yada, lots of pieces of information. And what we've spoken about is adding whether or not a package includes symbols into that, so that we can add it as another thing to check off, because we both feel that it would be a good addition to the Excel spreadsheet, because it would go into the Excel spreadsheet, not necessarily into this one, because this one, this markdown file just contains the top level pieces of information. But if you go to the Excel spreadsheet, which is this one, I don't think I've got Excel on this machine, so I can't open it, unfortunately. But it has lots of other columns of information, and one of the ones that will be getting added is whether or not the package includes symbols. So let's now wait for the packaging or the indexing to keep up. Oh, speak of the devil. Hello. We were just talking about you. I was just saying that Kim's pointed out that a NuGet package that has symbols pushed will have another link here indicating that it can be downloaded. The symbols package can be downloaded. So this, I'm assuming, would give me a snupkeg, which we've just pushed for Cake.FileHelpers. So it should also appear once. Oh, there we go. Yeah, look at that. So we've now got a download symbols for Cake.FileHelpers. You could feel that we were talking about. So that's pushed. So in theory, if I, oh, hold on, let me, one thing at a time. Let's go back to here and say to JT123, we'll just use this PRT. Oh, what? Why did that not work the way I wanted it to? PRT. There we go. And I'm going to make a note here. That was an impressive number of PRs that you created on one day. Update comment. Okay. Interesting. Maybe. Is the mere presence of a snupkeg enough to assume? So it will. Good question. I would assume that this would also work for a symbols.nupkeg, but I've got no real way of. Oh, hold on. I might have a. Let me have a wee think here. Cake.frosting. No, the snupkegs maybe weren't pushed there. Short answer is I don't know, but Kim might have a thought on that. I don't think I've actually ever pushed a symbols package, so this is me. I'm going into new territory at this point. But if we go back to my build.cake file here, and I change this to be that, and I run the debug of this script again, will we now be able to step into this method. So let's just, before I do anything, let's just make sure that it's downloaded the 3.0 version. It has. I'm going to click the step into button here. Oh! Why is that not working? So that's what it was doing before. Did that exact same thing with the 3.2.1 version. I was sort of hoping that that was going to be enough. I wonder if there's something else I need to do to light up the snup keg within my VSCode debugger. I've just deleted the 3.2.1 package in the hope that it was something there. See what this does. I'm going to hit step into again. No, same thing. Okay. Let's have a wee Google. Copy. SourceLink VSCode could not load. The nutcag wasn't downloaded by VSCode. So maybe. I don't know, Maurice. Let me just do a quick shout out to, are you still around? Could you jump back on stream? I'm just asking Matthias because he reliably informed me that this was going to work. Kim, I uploaded the latest audit to my Google Docs drive. Here is the link. All right, cool. Let's copy this. Oh, look at that. No, copy. And paste. So this is the Excel spreadsheet that I was talking about. So this has lots and lots and lots of pieces of information for different things that are in compliance, essentially. Things that we want to check for, i.e. has the repository been moved to the Cake-Contrib organization on GitHub? Has Cake-Contrib user been added into NuGet.org so that a Cake-Contrib member can help with pushing new packages if it comes to it? Is it using the latest version of Cake.Recipe or newer? So these are the kind of things that we can audit for. And Jericho was saying that adding in another column for whether the snup keg is published in NuGet.org should be simple, because I saw a confirmation from Kim that says the question was, is the presence of the snup keg enough to SourceLink is enabled? Yes, it is. SourceLink just uses the available snup keg. There is no guarantee that it's the correct snup keg, though. Okay, fair enough. Didn't check if filtering worked. I wasn't going to start filtering. The one I was going to filter on was this one. That doesn't look like it's. Hold on. Can I sort A to Z? Ooh, look at that. So the one that I'm currently not focusing on, but there's a reasonably large number of add-ins that haven't been moved over to the Cake-Contrib organization, and I have actively been moving some more over, and Jericho's actually just updated some of the logic around identifying whether an add-in has been moved to Cake-Contrib. So I will be following up with some of these package maintainers to see if we can't get some of these other ones moved in as well. But that's for a different day. So what I'm still curious about is enable snupkeg integration in VSCode. I'm wondering if there is something I need to toggle to make it work. Snupkeg symbols VSCode. It's from 2 years ago. So Matthias is coming back, so that's good. I can ask him. Probably didn't work since I shared it as read only. So the filtering, I was able to do the filtering or the sorting anyway, which was the main thing I wanted to show. So publish a snupkeg to NuGet.org symbol server today. We've done that, and it's there. So what we want, consume snupkegs from NuGet.org in Visual Studio. So there was something that we had to do here. In Visual Studio, tools, options, debugging, symbols. Under the symbol file PDB locations, we had to add that. It's a similar thing that we have to do in VS Code. That if you can tell me how to do it. I mean, I was over here, Jericho, and I went to look at it, but I don't have Excel on my machine. So Kim took it, downloaded it, uploaded it into Google Drive, and made it available as a link. If there's a way of viewing that online, then that'd be great. But otherwise, I would have. But Kim worked around it. So, like I say, I don't know if that'll work. Jocko install Excel. I'll run it for you. There we go. I'm running. I'm trying to get my snupkeg integration in VS Code. No. I'm installing one just now, but I'm trying. Oh, let's just maybe have a look at my settings in here. So let's go up here and say settings. Open settings in my UI. Symbol. Include symbols. Whether to include the results of global symbol search. No. C# configuration. Enable MS Build load projects on demand. No. If true, MS Build project system will only load projects for files. Big C#. No. Let's have a look for snupkeg. Nope. Symbol server. No. Debugging. Unit test debug. No, see, that's not what we want. Do I have the ASP.NET extension installed? No, not knowingly. ASP.NET. There seems to be quite a few of them. Is there a specific one, Kim? .NET Core snippet. I'm assuming it would be a Microsoft one. Well, I'm trying. Well, so either way, well, hold on. So what you're saying is, hold on. So in here, in here, in here, in here, and then in here, and then in here, and then in build artifacts, packages, NuGet. What we've shipped is this. .zip. Oh, one was the snupkeg and rar. In here and in here. So the PDB files are not shipping in there, so they're not. But the problem that I currently have, so we've, just to bring it back up to speed, Matthias, we have built the Cake.FileHelpers nupkeg with the SourceLink project enabled, which generated the snupkeg. The nupkeg and the snupkeg have been pushed to NuGet.org. So when we look at Cake.FileHelpers, here's the symbols and here's the package. We went in Visual Studio Code. I've then got a script that uses Cake.FileHelpers. We've updated it to the latest version. And what I was hoping was if I just run F5 here, I was sort of hoping that I would just be able to step into the file readline method. But it's currently not working. It also didn't work there. Why did it not hit my breakpoint? Try it again. It did that now. So if I try and step into this, I get an error message saying could not load source. So what I'm trying to figure out is whether or not there's a setting within Visual Studio Code that I need to switch on to light up the usage of the snupkeg, or if there's something else. But file read lines is the generated DSL. Right? So, well, so let me take a step back. No, that doesn't make sense. You're saying I can't step into that? Try using extension method on iCake context instead. Okay. Well, that would be. Oh, hard lines equals. You're saying. That would be on context. Context.file read lines. You're saying like this then? I'm willing to try it. Only a breakpoint there though. That would sort of not make me happy if that's the case. Step into. Yeah, that didn't step into it either. Try that one more time. Why is it doing that? So I'm going to hit the step into again, and it didn't go into it. So neither the generated method nor the extension method on the iCake context is stepping into it. Neither of those work. Probably need a SourceLink package to enable everything. So we've just enabled SourceLink for Cake as well. That should be coming in a future release of Cake itself. But for now, I want to be able to step into this method. So I'm still not convinced. So in Visual Studio Code, in Visual Studio, sorry, there was a setting that had to be enabled, which was to specify where to download the symbols from. Is there the equivalent in VS Code? Does anyone in the chat room know? Currently, NuGet.org server supports only the portable PDB format. The portable PDB format can be created and consumed for any .NET application provided that the consuming client. Okay, that should be fine. So Kim's saying he's got no idea. Anybody else in the chat room? I see Matthias and Martin and Maurice still, and Jericho. Anybody out there got any thoughts on? So by latest version, Matthias, you mean, so this is Cake Core CLR, because I'm debugging through that. So it's on, where's my packages.config file? Oh, it downloaded. It's the latest version, yes. What you're sending me here, Martin. Oh, there's a SourceLink options. Well, hold on then. Where do I get that bad boy? What do I need to set there? Settings for OmniSharp. I didn't see a source. Oh. Options to control how SourceLink connects to web servers. More information on here. Well, let's just have a wee look at this, shall we? Copy. Martin might have just found what we need. SourceLink is a feature that makes it so that when you're debugging code that was built on another computer, such as code coming from a NuGet package, the debugger can automatically bring up matching source code by downloading it from the web. To make this work, the PDB files for the code that you're debugging contains data that maps to the source file. Understood. Blah, blah, blah. The SourceLink's option element in launch.json allows customization of SourceLink behavior by URL. It is the map from the URL to SourceLink options for that URL. Wildcards are supported in the URL name. Currently, the only customization is if SourceLink is enabled for that URL, but more options may be. This example will enable SourceLink for GitHub URLs, but disable SourceLink for all other URLs. The default value is an option. Oh no, hold on. The default value of this option is to enable SourceLink for all URLs. So it should already be enabled, right? SourceLink will be enabled for any URL that doesn't have a... Yeah. That sounds like it's already enabled. Okay. You've sent me another link. Let's bring this up. Here's more for symbols options. Element allows customization of how debugger search paths. If through Microsoft Symbol Server is added to the symbol search path. Array of... Maybe we need to add NuGet symbol server to search paths. I'm willing to try it. Let's just borrow this then. Copy. And I can edit this. Yeah. So I should be able to put this in here. No. Is this going into my launch.json or is it going to my users? It mentioned launch.json. I'm putting it in here. Okay. So if we go back to this URL, which is this one, copy this, put this into here, delete that, cache, module. Let's give it a try, shall we? Okay. Go gadget. See what it does. F11. No. Is there a way of knowing where that cache path is? Is that literally at the root of my folder? See, I'm just curious if it did anything. I've done it in here. No. I was really hopeful that this was going to work. So going back to what Matthias said though, he was saying that if the PDB file is published with the NuGet package, I should already be able to do this, correct? So if I go up to one of these that is Cake.Getter as an example, I'm fairly sure that Cake.Getter already includes the PDB file into the nupcake. So if I copy and paste that, and I look at this, and in here, that's the wrong one, in here I include the PDB file. Next time gadget, stock chat. Sorry guys, got to go. Not a problem. Thank you for attending. I'm sure I'm not sure we're going to figure anything out. I'm going to keep trying for the next 57 minutes. So if I do Cake.Getter and we look at what Cake.Getter provides us with. So if we go up to here and do cake.recipe, and we look at cake.recipe, we look at content, and we look at getter. So if I do some of this stuff, that didn't work. Copy. There we go. I'm just going to put in some blank stuff here. Doesn't really matter because it's going to fail anyway. Token, room ID, So if I set a breakpoint there, with the PDB file already included, can I step into post message then? Why did that not? Let's try that again. Oh, because I've got a syntax error somewhere. Idiot. It was trying to tell me. Got there in the end. Now I noticed something that there's this. Trust my code. Is that a setting that I need to play with? So if I step into here, see, it tried to do something though. Trust my code. How do I switch that off? You still there, Martin? Am I reading this right? That it's not allowed me to do it because this setting is enabled. Debugging. Oh, hold on. This is where to change launch.json. Adjust my code to false. Oh, hold on. Okay, hold on. I think everyone's sending me the same thing. Just give me a second. For Unity, you need to change inside the launch.json file. You have to set trust my code to false. Okay, so I'm going to put on here. Trust false. Okay, let's try again. See where we get to this time. F5. Oh, hold on. That's straight away in a cake. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Oh, PDB files cannot. Oh, did something. So if I do F11 here, didn't work there. F11 again. Unable to open. Unable to find. Oh, see, that didn't work. And that's why just including the PDB file won't work, because the PDB file hasn't been rewritten. And that's what SourceLink does. Okay. Progress being made. So we can't step into that one. I'm curious now though, if I go back to my previous one, what's this going to do? F5 again. I'm happy that I can step into Cake, because, well, that's good. I think Cake does SourceLink, so that was just going through my head just now as well. But either way, I'll have to think about that one. If I step into this one, see, that's us back to the same problem, but that's potentially still the issue that Martin was saying, in that this is that file read lines is part of the auto generation. But either way, neither of them are working. So if we try to go to the extension method on the iCake context, it doesn't work. If we try to go directly to the alias method that's created, it doesn't work. And yeah. But now if I were to go to this one, then if I step into here, if I step into here, it's thinking about something. If I step into here, right, that's us stepping in the cake code at that point. So that part's working as expected. But stepping into any of the addins code isn't working. I think Cake does SourceLink plus embed. Which Cake version are you using? It's a fresh download of Cake, so it will be 38.4. I actually heard a cricket during the pause after now step into here. But it is. So if we were to look at here, there's the PDB. So the PDB file is being included. So that SourceLink must have rewritten that one so that it works. Hold on. Let me just copy and paste that, what Martin's just put in there. Copy. That may or may not work. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to go comma and paste what's here. So what have you changed? SourceLink options. You put a star in where I didn't have a star. You have. That's not what I wanted to do. Search paths. Oh, you've added some. Oh, you've added specifically. You added that in. So that it said that should have been enabled by default. But well, let's try it. So over here, F5 again. Probably. I probably can. I don't know the command for it. Or there's a format document there. There we go. Thank you, Maurice. So doing stuff. Oh, it's saying symbols loaded for cake.common. You get DLL. Uncomment the context line. What? Oh, let me do that one instead. Even if that one works, Martin, it's not the one I want to use. I understand what you're saying, I do, but it's not the one I want to use. System IO file system PDB. Regular expressions. It's loading a bunch of PDBs now. Core CLR. You get packaging. Searching for PDBs all over the place. Security, cryptography, buffers, diagnostics. It's working hard. Still thinking. Oh, we've done it now. We're gonna have to let it finish. See, don't even try that. If you want to tell me what to, if one of you want to paste in the launch.json to make Cake.tool work, I will try it. I've not finished contacting all the simple servers in the whole wide world yet. Should check my hard drive at this point to see how much space this is taking up. Oh, what was that? Cake.getter. Cake.getter. So we're into the compiling and running of the script now. Are you hacking me through your meetings? If only I had that knowledge. Compiling build script. This is taking quite a long time. Okay, so then we hit go. So then I'm going to step into here. Didn't work. I'm going to step into here. It's going to say it can't find it. And then if I let this one run through to here, I'll be able to step in. Ooh, that one broke this time. That's not what I wanted. Ah, it worked a second time. Interesting. I'm going to go back to, I know Martin doesn't want me to do this, but I'm going to try this again. And I'm going to hit F5 again. I didn't need to do context.information because information by itself works. I didn't need to do that. So context.information, I can debug into that as it is. I don't need context. I'm curious now though. If I step into here and say, I don't care. Stepping in. Still stepping. I see it still doesn't work. But yeah, if I get all the way down here, Martin, and I step into this, take a couple of clicks, but I get into it. It is there. I can get into it. And then I can see what it would do. So obviously that's not true. Get into there, get into there, all the way down. But okay, so you want me to use Cake.tool then? I'm .NET tool install Cake.tool -g. What do I need to change my launch.json to make that work while that's installing? And if any and all of this works, I think we will need to also modify the launch.json that we spoke about for the Cake extension to potentially include some of these additional options that we're putting in. Maybe have them commented out, but they should be there. Could not find script. Beautiful. Okay, so here, rather than running this guy, is it as simple as that? .NET cake.exe, so not that simple then. So .NET -cake.exe, like that. Okay, double step into works because the generated code looks like this for come back to that. So let's try global JSON. Not global JSON. Let's try the global tool for Cake. So let's see what happens here. I think I've got the wrong one that Martin doesn't want me doing. Commented out just now. Let's give it a try. Just doing lots of stuff. Installing add-ins. And that was some sort of warning. Compiling the Cake script. Get to here, step into. Step into. Now it works! Look at that! So it works with the .NET Global tool. Look at that. Huh. That's curious. So it does work with this one, but you have to double click, you have to step into and step into again. So does it just work if I use the context version? Possibly. Let's do this one more time, and then we'll start stripping back all those settings to see what we need to make it happen. Sorry, Martin, what was your yes, it should? What was that in response to? What question did I ask? So if I step into this, oh, it goes straight in. So if I do context.fileReadLine, it goes straight in. If I do the alias, it doesn't work, and then I have to put it in. So let's try that again, just to prove that out. So all of this just works with the Cake Global tool. More reason to do what we spoke about in Slack earlier. If you click the link I posted, so I brought it up over here, but I'll be honest, I didn't see why that is. You'll have to point it out to me. So what am I looking at here? So in here, no, that doesn't help. Oh no, I see. Okay. I think I'll wait for. Yes, so this is the generated code, absolutely. But if I click on this and I do F11, I get an error because that generated code doesn't exist. If I step in again, then I get in. Gotcha. And we don't have source for it. Okay. So is there a way that we can we help with that? Is there an improvement that we can make so that that does work? Is there okay? So yeah, that's the question. Is there an improvement? Is there a modification that we can make so that that is a little bit clearer about what's going on? Don't know. Okay, fair. That's a valid answer. So if we go back to our launch.json and let's take out some of this stuff. Let's cut out this. I'm going to leave just my code false off. And if I do this, well, we'd need generated script on disk, I guess. Yeah. And then maybe constrict debugger with line directive. Okay. Step into, step into, step into, step into, step into. Okay, so I've broken it. So it tried it, but it wasn't able to find it. So back to this. I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to back to here, F5. We trick Roslyn with go-to definition, so maybe we can trick debugger also. Sounds like a challenge for Martin. Okay, so we click on this. We click step into, step into, click step into, click step into, click step into. Still broken. So we need all of these things. By the look of it. Oh, it's there. I can see the comment for looking at it. Can I take this one off? Yeah, I was just having the same thought. If I do this, let's see what this does. My guess is that you need this. So that's essentially where I've gotten to, I think. But if we do step into, step into, step into, there we go. Okay. So let's see if what we have is what Martin was saying. Symbol options, take the search paths out, and you don't think we need this one. Okay, let's give this a try then. F5, and then hit play. And we'll step into, no, I didn't want to step into there. Let's step into, step into, step into. There we go. Look at that. There we go. So we have achieved what we were trying to achieve, which was the ability to step into code that has a snupkeg enabled via SourceLink and pushed to NuGet.org. To whom do you send the invoice? As long as that invoice is for £0, you can send it to me. Because otherwise, you are shit out of luck. But so it does raise a couple of questions though. So asking the chat room, is the preference to use SourceLink to, it could be a blog post worthy, it could be, I'd have to find time to do that, but yes. Is the preference to use SourceLink to rewrite the PDBs and then embed that within the nupkeg so that they get extracted and put onto disk? Or is the preference to have SourceLink generate the snupkeg and publish the snupkeg to NuGet.org? Because essentially, well, the latter one wouldn't require this. It would require the just by code, but it wouldn't require the NuGet symbol server. And Matthias is saying it's simpler if the PDB. Yes, exactly. So it's simpler in the sense that this additional option isn't required. Is there would we do both? Would you want to source link the PDBs, embed the PDB into the nupkeg for pushing to private feed, as you point out there, and also publish the snupkeg? Is there any harm in having both a snupkeg and a snupkeg and a nupkeg with an embedded PDB? Go nuts. So I'm just trying to think what is the best option for Cake Addins going forward. So we're kind of already doing that to an extent, Maurice. It's a valid point, yes. I believe he's doing the download of the nupkeg for certain things, because he does, or does he? He does some sanity checks against the contents of the new spec file in the nupkeg to make sure that the URLs are consistent with where they actually live. So I believe he's already doing that part. But what would be more difficult, I think, would be for him to check to see whether the PDB files within the nupkeg have actually been rewritten to point to their actual source. That's a different question. But okay. So in terms of, could be by going to the source. So like I say, the source is on Cake-Contrib, Cake.Addin discoverer. Now we're talking about different things. But question first before I come to the comments that are there. Does putting these two things into the configuration that we ship as part of the Cake extension for the launch.json for Cake, does this make sense to add those in? Would we want those enabled by default? Answers on a plate. Because if I'm updating that already to change the program away from the core CLR version, I think it would make sense to add in any other things that we want as well. Martin's saying sure. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, Matthias. You're saying that SourceLink has a tool to test that the SourceLink enabled nupkeg or PDB file work. It tests all source files listed in the PDB. Interesting. So what yours is, okay. So assuming that we do download the nupkeg as part of Addin, Cake.Addin discoverer, we could take the nupkeg, check to see if it's got an embedded PDB. If the embedded PDB is executed against the SourceLink utility tool, it will tell us whether that PDB has correctly been updated to point to the source links, and those source links work. I like it. And then we could make an assertion that the snupkeg exists and whether the embedded PDB has correctly been source linked as well. I like it. So then that's still the question of whether does it make sense to have them both? I can't think of a good reason to not have them. If we don't have them, if we embed it, it shouldn't then reach out to try and find additional symbols because the symbols are already there. So leaving this enabled by default wouldn't cause any impact from that point of view, unless we're loading other things into the debug to include those. Okay, I'm convincing myself here. So I think we got to where I wanted to get to tonight then. The aim of tonight was to test out whether we were able to correctly step into a add-in that had been referenced and had also included source linking of its PDB files. And we got there. So the outstanding items on the agenda is that Martin needs to go and try and fool Roslyn into not having to do a step into twice to make it work. And if he can have that by tomorrow, that would be great. And we can ship something. And the other thing I need to do is I need to go to the other addin and do the same change. Mark saying, sure, there we go, absolutely. Or I think that's a response to a previous question. SourceLink even has a print URLs and print JSON command to get SourceLink JSON stored in the PDB or DLL and URLs for each document. Interesting. That could be useful. I think we've just given Jericho some work. I don't know if Jericho is still listening. He's still marked as a viewer. I hope he knows that we're speaking about him. So I'm going to close these out, and I'm going to go and look at the. Well, that's what we'll do just now. Let's do this, and we'll go to github.com/cake build cake. I forget what it's called. Is it VSCode? VSCode. This one. Martin created a issue here today, I think. This one. Let's grab the final launch.json file that we were using, which was this one. Copy, so it's there. Final launch.json used during stream on, what's today's date? 29th of, we're in June, right? 2020. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, paste, put that in there for later so that we don't forget about it. So we did that, happy with that. That was the mass updater that I was telling people about. That's Cake.FileHelpers, and if we go up here and look at Cake.Xamarin, that's the PR that we merged. So in here, there's another pull request from the same person. And if we go up here and look at what release we're on, so we are at 3.02. I'm going to suggest that this is going to go on to another improvement. Enhancement was enough. And we're going to go on to milestone, and we're going to go, I've already forgotten. 3.10, 3.1.0. Click on that, and I'm going to say that the changes in this are exactly the same. Approve, looks good to me. And say merge pull request. And I'm going to say that this is here. Done that. That went into the master branch, because that's the only branch that we have available here. And if we go up into Cake.Xamarin, git, I see this. There's a problem with the git attributes file, I think, in this repository, because when I cloned into my Windows machine, it immediately rewrote all of the hoochie-magagis, the line endings. But what I was going to check here, it is doing that. So it's going to be the same thing. So that will give me both a nupkeg and a snupkeg. We know that that's going to publish correctly, but I'm not going to be able to do my trick, which is to, well, no, I can. So git tag. I'm going to create a tag for 3.1.0. Can't quite see that over my shoulder. Let's create a tag there. And then I'm going to do a build using my target of release notes. And hopefully that will flow through. That'll give me a release that I can then publish to trigger that deployment. See what that's doing. Cake.xamarin. It's doing some stuff with the stuff. Why did that not succeed? System, bad issue, expected to find a single ether. But I can see. I thought it was going to say that. So I know what I want to do. I know what I want to do. Let's just have a quick look. One open. Okay, let's just do this then. Let's do, is it label or labels? Label. So the problem here is that Git Release Manager is looking for a label with a specific name, and this repository is using different labels. So this labels target should replace the existing labels with the default ones. And the reason I came to the labels was to check to see if there was any labels assigned to existing issues, which there was only one, which was the one that I created. So I'm okay with blowing them away. So what should happen here is that Git Release Manager will delete all of these labels. It'll recreate new ones. And if I refresh this, we then get a list of labels that are what the Git Release Manager YAML file is configured to use, which is these ones. So if we go back to that pull request, and rather than assigning it with the enhancement label, let's assign it with the new label, which is improvement. If I go back to the command line and run that release notes again, then we should be able to have a release created, because the PR into the master branch has just succeeded. I can see that off screen just now. This should generate me a set of release notes. It says, beautiful. And then, curious about making another change. That'll be for a different day. So now if I go to the homepage of this project and I look at my releases, I will have a draft release, which was created by the Cake-Contrib bot. It's number 28 to enable SourceLink. If I edit that and say publish, then up here in my AppVer CI, we will have a tagged build. And if we go over to NuGet.org, was there, if anyone's in the chat room, was there a Gitter message went out for the release of Cake.FileHelpers? Let's put this over here. Choco. There was. So that part's still working. Good. So over here we've got Cake.xamarin. Perfect. Yes. And did a tweet go out? That part's still working, I'm hoping. Cake-Contrib, Twitter account. Did have a tweet. Okay, cool. So Cake.xamarin. We click on 302 and change to 310. This should give us a 404 just now. Why is that not giving us a 404 just now? So confused. that should give us a 404. Very strange. Okay. But wait for this build to succeed, or well, to finish rather, more specifically. Also, there's a couple of things that we need to do. So GitHub, Cake-Contrib, cake.recipe. We want to add an issue which is what was it? Don't have symbols as false when running NuGet pack. Currently, when running NuGet pack, symbols are turned off, but they are on when running .NET pack. These should both be the same and controlled via a build parameter. There we go. Oh, hold on. Okay, so let me, one thing at a time. So it did the, let me finish this thought process off. So it put the nupkeg and the snupkeg. So this should give me a 404 now. Bizarre that it wasn't giving me a 404 before. So that's there, it's published. It went to Gitter and it went to Twitter. Beautiful. I think I found a solution for the double step into. We should decorate our generated DSL with debugger step through attribute. That sounds entirely plausible. Should I create and assign you an issue on Cake? Let's do that right now. Let's do build Cake. I'm going to create an issue. I'm going to go in new issue and I'm going to assign it to mholo. I'm going to put it as improvement. I'm going to put it on the 100 milestone. I'm going to clear out all this stuff. Add debugger step through attribute to generated code. This will make the debugging experience in IDEs much better using when using, for example, add-ins that have been run with SourceLink. Currently, you have to step into the code twice to make it work. This is due to the generated code. There was a link to it from somewhere. Did I close it? Dang it. History. Where's that link? Goes here. Got it. This one. First step into takes or can't find any symbols to step to the second takes you to the actual method. Submit new issue. Okay. Here is the code if someone is faster than me. You mean you haven't done it yet? Let me update this. Affected area of code. Comment. Let's have a look. Method alias generator. See, this is, in all honesty, this is an area of Cake that I've not really played with. So the example code that was being generated was public void method name. So would it literally be a does you're on vacay have all the time though? Let me put this link in here as well then. Copy. I'm going to also this area of code comment. So the question that I had was open would the attribute go on to the attribute would go on to the method, or it would go on to the class that it's contained with, i.e. is it the what level would we want it to be? And basically argument builder.append line just before the public. So that's kind of where what I was thinking as well. I mean, I've got 8 minutes left. Is there this one looks a little bit more in depth. I'd have to see an example code that's generated for this part. I remember looking at these changes I think Matthias recently made, which was for the obsolete backing field. So which was this one? This was the method alias generator, and this is the property. Oh, I see, okay. Today I learned that someone updated about 25 machines with a new version of Veeam backup and replication using my, there you go. And it all just worked, Maurice? They were happy with the outcome? So no, I'm not going to do this PR just now, Martin, but maybe later. Oh no, I'm not going to commit to that actually. I've got more things to do than just this. Yeah, it took them some time to start, but it all worked. Good stuff. Oh, actually, let's history SourceLink. I'll put this into the chat as well for Jericho. Where was that being discussed? Here. Jericho. This could be a useful tool for verifying that embedded PDBs in a nupkeg have been source linked correctly. I'll put a link to there. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Martin can do it quickly. Yes, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm basically on vacation, so beautiful. So while I've just done the wrong keyboard combination. See, switching between a Mac and a Windows machine. things are. What I was gonna ask about was, let's have a quick, since you're both here, let's have a quick, doing it again. Let's have a quick discussion about the 1.0.0 release. So let me, did you merge that PR? Oh, you did, look at that. So you've merged the PR, so the new the new nutkegs on Azure Artifacts should be, look at that. Oh, they're now using the 1.0.0 version number. So rather than 0.390, we're now on. Oh, interesting. Oh no, I was going to say those numbers are out of order, but they're not. They're not. Or they are. How did it jump back to 29? Or why did it jump back to 29? That's curious. Not sure why that jumped back to 29 off top. But what I was going to ask was, do we know if Patrick is going to rebase this, or are we going to wait until everything else that's going into 1.0.0 is done and then ask him to do a final rebase of this PR that's been open for a little bit? Oh, you just rebased it? Oh, hold on. You are on a roll. Oh, look at you. Ugh. I just rebased it and it fails. Works locally. Oh, that's unfortunate. Am I not signed in here? How? Oh no, that's the RFC. So where's the PR? Here. Let's have a look. Oh, works on some, not others. Funny games. So what? Okay, so that answers that question. So what's left then is this one that we've just added, a checklist for things that need to be. Oh, I was going to add something onto this. Documentation, GitHub Actions, frosting. Update BEADME, get a supportable version. Edit this frosting. 1, 2, 3. Cake VSCode extension. I was going to put in update launch.json to not use cake.core CLR. So yeah, there was this one which you're working on just now. There is the removing of the obsolete methods. I don't think we've got there's not a PR open for that, is there? Not yet. It should be easy enough though. It should literally just be search for obsolete and remove them. So that should be simple. This one, add glob pattern class. Add glob pattern class to signal where a glob pattern can be used. I don't know if he's got something. RFC. Yes, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, yeah. Let's get this one in and fix before we do anything else. Absolutely. Because you've just went to the hassle of rebasing it. No, absolutely. I'm just wondering about the amount of effort that's left. Has Martin got something for this one? Is this a work in progress? You still there, Martin? Is this something that you can add to your to-do list tomorrow as well? Because that would be great. And the other thing is, Matthias, have you had a chance to look at, you said it was a quick fix after, okay, cool. Have you had a chance, Matthias, to look at my frosting PR? Oh, look at you trying to, I never spotted that you did this one. The build.sh, the 461 failing on my Mac. Have you had a chance to have a quick look at that? This is code of conduct. Okay, paying bills. Sounds like the correct thing to do. I'm going to assume that that is all good. I'm going to say merge, and I'm going to say dev lead RT, and then let's have a look at where this was. This was going into their documentation, perfect. And then this will improve our score, I assume. Community profile. We need to do some more things. Contributing guidelines, we could copy the one from Cake. Issue templates, we could probably copy those as well. What's this, by the way? Repository admins. I don't understand what that is. Repository permission levels. Community admins accept content reports. Oh, I wasn't really wanted to click enable until I knew what it was. Oh, I see, okay. Report content. Repository collaborators and prior contributors can report abusive or disruptive content for review and moderation. Accept content reports from collaborators and prior contributors. When enabled, collaborators and prior contributors will be presented with an option to report disruptive content to the repository admin for moderation. I think that makes sense, right? I'm okay to do that. Sure. I think that makes a lot of sense. It'll also get our percentage up, right? So that can't be bad. Beautiful. So did you enable that on Cake project as well? Oh, you did, because we're now at 100%. Look at that. Although we don't have any issue templates. How can we be at 100% if we don't have issue templates? It's percentages. I don't know how it's working out as percentages, but they're not quite right. Oh, is that what it is? So they're only partial. So if we were to go to GitHub, so we're using the old template rather than the individual ones. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I think that's all I have. So I'm going to go and sign off. Thank you all for coming along. I hope this journey into SourceLink and enabling that for Cake Addins was useful. I'm probably going to continue on the theme of Cake and Cake-Contrib for a little while here on the stream. So next week I will be looking at updating some of the older Cake-Contrib add-ins that have been pulled into Cake-Contrib organization. There's a couple on my to-do list. So that's where I'm going to be spending some of my Monday nights. So hopefully you can come along and hang out. For now, I'm going to say farewell and have a good night. Talk to you later.